The worst quality Manchester derby for a decade. That is what people are saying, as late drama caused chaos for Man City, giving them a record of 1 win in the last 11 matches. Unthinkable, as the Diallo show completely took over. We've got to start with you, Jamie. Now, we are on YouTube, so for those of you who are following us on TikTok, it's going to have to be less of an expletive rant than the TikTok yesterday. What is your thoughts on the match? What went wrong ultimately?
As I sort of said, like I agreed with your statement that you put there at the start. To be dramatic, it was a terrible game of football. Like, at least in the last decades, both teams just didn't look that good, and you can see why. Both are either out of form or in the bottom half of the table. But weirdly, it was more the attacking problems for both teams. And City, we've scored our header. I think we might have had one more chance in the whole game. That's not good enough it's not good enough at home against this United team who started the day in 13th. You shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have maybe 2 opportunities in a whole 90 minutes against them. And it's the same problems we're having of I don't know what the attacking plan is. And that's just it's a huge problem, because defensively, yes, we've been terrible defensively, but at least we can be like, okay, Rodri's out, so that's a CDM role to cover the defence. Then we've had Stones out, Akanji, Ake, Diaz has been out, Walker's been out for a bit. Not that mattered. Lewis was suspended, so we had to play Núñez left back. You got the excuse there. But up front in the attack, De Bruyne has been out for a bit, but he's been playing most of the games in this 1 win and 11 run. I just don't understand where all the creativity's gone, and we don't look like scoring in a game where we should be dominating and at least coming out on top in stats. But yeah, it's very poor all over, to be perfectly honest. When weirdly, if you ask me what the 84th minute or whatever, it looked like we were going to not comfortably, but get over the line winning 1-0. So yeah, it just shows what kind of form we're in if you just watch that last sort of like 5-10 minutes, going from 1-0 up to 2-1 down in just a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, even the start of the match said it all. So it took 20 minutes to have a single shot in the game, which is, for a supposedly heated rivalry, big game, big derby, you just don't see that. You look at other rivalries and derbies in the league, and you see normally a feisty start. Refs got to chill out and kind of prevent the cards coming out early. So that kind of set the tone. Just no creativity from either side. And as you said, it looked like a game where it was first goal wins. City at 1-0, you thought they were going to score. Sorry, you thought they were going to get the 3 points simply because United also weren't offering anything. So it's pretty incredible, really. And I think we've said it obviously on the group chat, but suddenly this narrative of City being this all-conquering, all-dominating team magically has vanished in 11 games and 2 months. And now suddenly a phenomenal, you can argue in some cases expensive team, you're now looking at kind of questioning. Because you're looking at Haaland going, right, record breaking, whatever. Obviously, he's dipped off as well, but he is the only one creating really anything. Or not, when I say creating, I mean he's the only one with real output. Foden, I know he's had a couple of illnesses or whatever. Player of the season, not delivering. And now you're looking at Savinho, you're looking at Doku, you're looking at Grealish going, where's the goals and assists? Where's the output? And it is a concern. Gundogan, you said it yourself, like, where is this player who won City the league? Like, he looks like he's retired at Barcelona and he's still in retirement. It's just crazy. So yeah, it's not looking good, to be honest. Reece, what did you make of the game, and what do you think is going wrong for City?
I think before the game, it was a matter of, are we going to get 2 teams afraid to lose, or are we going to get 2 teams going all out to win? And we actually got neither. It was poor quality. It was City's goal come from, I think, not even trying to put it in the back of the net at that moment. Guardiola looked kind of shocked that he managed to hit it.
It was a deflected cross.
Yeah.
And he got a head on it.
Yeah, and you need those moments of luck when you're down in the doldrums, but that said it all about that style of game. And City didn't register a second, was it a shot on target or second half? That's pathetic. You would have thought even at 1-0 they should have gone through and got the result. Because Man United were poor. They were poor, absolute rubbish, and City gifted them the 2 goals. And I think, I criticised Diallo's decision making at parts of the game, but the 2 goals he got, the goal he got and an assist for a goal with a penalty, were excellent decision making. He saw Nunes coming a mile off and won the foul. Nunes got suckered in there. He shouldn't be making that mistake. They never did that. And then, of course, the winner, which was a brilliant finish, and a brilliant cross from Martinez, it got United out of jail. Now, I don't necessarily blame Pep for the two goals, because Nunes should know better with that decision making, and that ball over the top was a great finish from Diallo more than anything. But it sums up the aura around City at the moment. You saw Pep's face. In a way, he has to take that blame, because the mentality side of it, not tactically, the mentality side of it, once they dipped, they absolutely crashed, and Pep felt that.
Yeah,
He felt
well,
that crash.
that's exactly spot on, and you bring it on nicely to the conversation around Pep, because Jamie, you said it yourself. One win in 11 is bottom of the league form, relegation candidate form. So naturally, as you said, we'll get onto it, but any other team, arguably in the Premier League, and we've seen 2 managers sacked this weekend already. Is it time for Pep to look in the mirror? I'm not saying he's going to get sacked as such, but is it time for him to do something different and accept that, like, he is part of the problem? Or are we simply just saying, look, the players are not performing, it's on the players? Where does the blame lie?
The blame lies with both. Pep is not blameless, but what your sort of other sort of question will be is, he's not going to be sacked, and he shouldn't be sacked. I don't care if it's another 12. I'll be totally honest. I don't care if it's another 12 like this. He shouldn't be sacked, because he is someone who has given us so much sort of joy around it. Now, City fans can not be happy with performances, and that's even when we've performed well. I remember we played Spurs a couple of years back at home. We went 2-0 down at half time, and we as fans got criticised for booing at half time, because the performance was just not at the level that City are expecting. So that it doesn't mean Pep's under fire, though, even though every other fan of different clubs want Pep sacked, because he is the best manager in the league. It just, you can forget about this form. He still is the best manager in the league, but he isn't blameless. It is his tactics at the end of the day. It's sort of the goals that you mentioned sort of yesterday, against United, is Nunes making a back pass where he's done a half-hearted back pass. That's not Pep's fault. And Nunes, by the way, was playing left back that whole game, and it was the first time he was on the right side of the pitch. Why? Why he was over there, don't know, but he actually had a good game apart from that. And then the foul, giving the penalty away, you could see it coming. I was in line with that penalty box, and I knew it was coming. I was just like, I was screaming, "Don't jump in!" And then he jumps in. And then the second goal, despite the long ball, which is a problem for City, has been when we're winning things. Then you look at the goal. Gvardiol could have cleared that off the line, by the way.
Yeah, that was a strange one.
It looked like he was trying to be clever and like slightly backheel it into a City defender, rather than just stopping it going in, and then misses it completely. Them 2 mistakes you can't blame Pep for. But that's the reason why I mention the attack more, because there's no creativity, and Pep has got to set you up in a line to do that, and he's not at the moment. And that's the problem I have. People mention Haaland and what does he do when he doesn't score goals. You do remember he does take 2 or 3 defenders with him wherever he's going. If he goes to the left, there's 2 defenders following him. So there's space that opens up, but we're not even doing anything with that. So there's a problem all over. Like it's obvious, and I said it to sort of you two yesterday. It's the recruitment, and I think City have been sort of they've rode their luck with it. They've tried to ride their luck, going, we'll do a rebuild next summer because the director of football's gone, and Pep, we didn't know if he was signing a new contract or not. So I think that delayed the sort of rebuild, sort of it was summer, and it's completely caught up with us, and that is to blame with the whole club. So that's the players, Pep as the manager, and the backroom sort of staff, director of football, for example.
Could that have had an impact? Or do you not think it filters down at all?
What had an impact? Sorry.
Just like the timing of him leaving and then the doubts over Pep's future. Could that have had an impact on the players somehow?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it is on the players aren't going to be bothered about a director of football leaving. And Pep had signed a new contract after 2 or 3 of the defeats. So you got 7 or 8 more games. That's not an excuse.
It seems to be something though. Like I have no doubt he was slightly tempted by the England job. I have no doubt about that, and it didn't come to fruition. So maybe he did that. But if we look at his time towards the end of Barcelona, he wanted full control of the team. He didn't get it. He fell out with the whoever it was at the time, Sandro Rosell. He fell out, which led to his departure. I think Bayern Munich was probably quite similar, probably falling out with the owners not being able to get the players he wants. Maybe there's element to that with the new person coming in there. Is there a change in shift? And it's probably not what he wanted, because he's not going to come out and out that he's not that kind of manager, which I give him full credit.
I wouldn't say that, because the new director of football hasn't started yet. He is coming. He's coming in January, so he's not even started yet. He's coming in to sit as a shadow in to Tiki at the moment. So I don't think there's any problems with that, and I think
he's
City
bound to have some sort of say.
Go.
It's like Dan Ashworth, wasn't it? It's bound to have some sort of say at the moment, because Dan Ashworth was supposedly on gardening leave, but he was making forms of decisions. So he's got to be having some role.
But he wouldn't have had a role last summer, if that makes sense, on who we sign. So when we just signed Savio, and the only reason why we got Gundo was because it was on a free. Otherwise, they were happy with just signing Savio for a summer window, and that's 20 million spent. Now, people talk about City spending. The past few windows have been lackluster, but we're still winning, so no one cares. Now it's showing it is a problem. You have to refresh your squad, and I think that's the big error that the club's made. But it's also the players that we got. I don't see how it's fallen off this much of a cliff. Because if you went, we're going to be in a top 4 race this season, I can accept that. Like, let's say we're not in a 1 in 11. Let's say we're like 4 in 11, 5 in 11. It's not great form, and it's still a top 4 race. I can accept that more, because we've won the last 4. We can't win it every season. We don't have a right to win it every season, and there will be a drop off at some point. To drop off this much, and like I've said to you, it was bottom of the table relegation form. It was only because Spurs put 5 past Southampton that were ahead on them in goal difference from the 1st of November in Premier League. We've got the same amount of points. We've got a -6 goal difference. They've got a -12. Like, it's not that's not good enough from these group of players.
I think the concern now is, as well, as we look forward to the rest of the season. Well, let's ask the question: what is now, from this point, a realistic goal for Man City? Like, what would you be happy with, Jamie? I guess, and are we accepting that City are out of the title race? Because you look at the gap.
I did against Palace when we drew 2-2 to Palace. I was like, we're not good enough to win the league. Now, look, if we miraculously turn this around and win all the rest of the games, we might have a chance. But that's, going on a hell of a run, and that's a run bigger than what we've even done before. So I think we're out of the title race. Top 4 is the aim. Then go for it in the FA Cup and see where you get in the Champions League. make sure you qualify for the next round of the Champions League as a minimum.
Well, that's the big point. With this new format, I think a lot of clubs have kind of got away with it this season. If you look at the league table, because City on the 1 win in 11, you're going out of the Champions League in the old format. You could argue. I appreciate not all your losses have been in the Champions League, etc. But
it depends on who you'd have played, because we could have got the teams that are 0 and 6 in the Champions League. So but I get your point. The form is relegation in that, not even getting Europa kind of form. So I do understand your point on that. Going forward, I think all it's going to do is just go January. We're actually going to sign someone. I don't know who. The sort of names that come out have been Bruno Guimaraes, who isn't a CDM. He's more of a CM. I don't know if he would leave Newcastle. I don't know. Then you've got Zubamendi. I've seen Edison from Atalanta. There's been various names thrown around. I saw Paul Pogba the other day. That's more of he's another centre mid and he's available kind of name thrown around. You don't know, but I do think in the summer they were planning on buying one of these players, and they've gone, we've messed up. Let's do it in January. So that could help, but it's not going to turn our season around to be title challenging for it. So yeah, I'd say top 4, and then go for it in the 2 cups.
Okay. So what would you be happy with? So if you come like 3rd, would you be like, oh, we've done all right considering, or are you saying realistically we've got to be like top 2?
No. I'll take 3rd. That's fine. That's fine. Like, you got to remember, there's probably going to be 2 teams who are going to be fighting for the title. One might be ahead of the other, but we're not good enough to be second in this league at the moment. Well, we're not good enough to be in the top 4 at the moment. So, and we don't deserve to be. Like, don't get me wrong, we don't deserve to be. But yeah, I'll take 3rd now.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, if you look, obviously we're assuming a lot here that City will continue this form, but if you do, you've got, because of the way the league works, you've got United, Newcastle, Brentford, Tottenham, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Villa, all within 5 points of you. So jokes aside, I mean, obviously all those teams aren't going to win every week. We know that, but if this form continues for another, let's say 11 games, hypothetically, you said 12, this could get potentially very ugly. Like, you could be 7th, 8th, 9th kind of vibe, which would be absolutely insane.
Well, no, if we have the same form for the next 11, we will be in the bottom half.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, which is crazy thinking about it from the start of the season. I don't think we will. I'll say that. I don't think we're going to be this bad for the next 11 games. We're going to have a better record than 1 win. Touch wood, all that, fingers crossed and all that. God. But yeah, things aren't clicking, but I just don't see it continually being this bad. But I don't see it being fantastic either. I think we're going to get to the sort of middle of the road kind of scenario soon.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. I didn't have that on my bingo card. Jamie being happy with the 3rd place finish. Certainly didn't think that would happen this season. I think for me, I'm reluctant, despite the overwhelming evidence, I'm still reluctant to rule City out, because at the end of the day, you're still 9, to flip it on the positive, you're 9 points off Liverpool. Yes, they've got a game in hand. You're 7 points us, who are a new young team who can, will eventually slip up. Arsenal, we know, can slip up. Forest clearly are not going to be in the title race. So if you want to be bullish, City could easily flip it on and go and get back in it. But I'd say realistically, I think you can finish 2nd. Like, you're competing with an Arsenal team who bottles it and a Chelsea team who's not ready to push for the title yet. So I do think 2nd's probably a better goal for you. Reece, wrap us up. Where do you think City will finish, and where do you think they'd accept?
Oh dear. I think they'll still get top 4. I still think they have a chance of even closing the gap, because look, they've lost all those games and they're still only a couple of points off Arsenal, aren't they? So it's not over. If there's a team capable of building a run, it's Man City. We saw it last year. After losing to Villa, they just become untouchable. They're more than capable of doing it. They've got the money that they can invest in January to freshen up. If they take someone like Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, that drastically weakens Newcastle. So that gives you an advantage over them. They're more than capable of closing the gap. It's whether it depends on what rot has set in at Man City. If Pep's had enough, if he's thought, I shouldn't have signed that new deal, whether he walks or not, I don't know. We might see a rot, I don't know, but they need freshening up, and it has to come in January, and you'll know better then when it will. And I think they will freshen it up, and it has to start probably at position on each part of the pitch, actually. Someone at right back, a midfielder, and maybe someone in the attack who can at least ease the pressure on Haaland. They're going to have to do that, and if they do that, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. That wraps us up. City fans, we want to hear from you. Do you agree with what we said? Do you want Pep to walk? And United fans, congrats on the win, but you are still in 13th place. So maybe stay humble. Don't get carried away. But look, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.